Hello YouTube, how you doing? In this video, I want to share with you everything you need to know to build an impressive physique almost like a fake natty. Now, I don't promise you that you will 100% look like these fake natties on the internet or the guys with 1 in a million genetics, but if you're new to lifting or if you've been lifting for a couple of years already and you're not happy with the physique that you have, and you're ready to lock in, then this video is for you. I'll guarantee that if you follow the steps in this video, you will be one of the best looking guys in your local gym, but perhaps not on social media. Because on social media, everything is so fake, everything is so extreme. People lie about this stuff that they're taking, and you cannot really trust anybody. Now, it may seem hypocritical of me to say that you cannot really trust any of the fitness influencers, but you should listen to me. But I made a 5-year transformation, and you can see the before and after photos on the screen. So it took me 5 years, but honestly, I think I could have achieved this physique in about 2.5 years had I had access to this video from the future in the past. But I did not, and as a result, I made a lot of mistakes, but I don't want you to make the same mistakes. Now, in the photo that you're seeing on the screen, I weighed about 75 kg, and I was already 2 years into my lifting journey. Imagine, I had lifted for 2 years, and I still looked like someone who doesn't even look, completely out of shape. But fast forward to 5 years later, the photo that you see on the screen is me now, still weighing 75 kg. So I did not gain a crazy amount of muscle, 10 kg, 20 kg, nothing like that happened to me because I have normal genetics, just like you, just like most of the viewers of this video. So I think it is very realistic. It is very achievable for anybody who wants to put in the effort and lock in, stick to the diet and training. And that's why I'm making this video, to share everything that I know so that you can also utilize it and become a better version of yourself and build an impressive physique. So I still weigh the same, but my physique, as you can see, looks completely different. I'm still making considerable progress. And who knows how I'll look in 2 years now that I'm fully dedicating myself to the diet and training, because I quit my job to be able to pursue YouTube and fitness and building my dream physique. I actually have a video about this decision, which is currently my most viewed video on the channel. And if you haven't watched it already, please go ahead and watch it. Also, make sure you subscribe to my channel and like this video, because this will really motivate me a lot to keep posting content like this. Now, let's get to the main topic for this video. In my opinion, there are 3 phases in the development of a gym rat, a lifter, a bodybuilder, whatever you want to call it. The first stage, which is the first 1 or 2 years, is all about lifting. You're learning the exercises, you're trying out different things, you get sore from an exercise and you realize what muscle group it is targeting. Perhaps you get injured a couple times and you learn and you try to learn from that injury and improve your technique so that you avoid such injuries in the future. You'll start to find out which are your favorite body parts to train and which are your favorite exercises. Once you have a good grasp of different types of exercises, and maybe you are familiar with different types of splits like push-pull legs, upper-lower, bro split, and the list goes on, and you're able to put together a simple program based on your preferences or based on what you need. Perhaps you have a lagging body part that you're trying to improve and bring to the same standard as the rest of your body. It is time to focus on your diet. So you probably know that you need to increase the amount of protein per day in order to build muscle. You start to keep an eye on your total calorie intake, you start to limit your junk food and exercise control over your drinking or skip it altogether like me. So you will start to adjust and tune your diet based on your needs. Maybe you want to lose fat, maybe you want to gain muscle, or do both at the same time, which is actually the hardest thing ever. That was the stage 2. So after 4 to 5 years of consistently dieting and training, you'll reach a point where sleep and recovery become the most important aspect in your life as an athlete. And yes, you are an athlete, even though you have a full-time job and a lot of things to take care of in your life, but you care so much about your training and you are watching this video, so I consider you an athlete. And this is stage number 3, and in fact is the stage that I am personally currently in after 7 years of lifting. In my opinion, the stage 1, which was all about training, and stage 3, which was about recovery and rest, are very closely related. So I'm going to cover these topics together in this video, and in a separate video I'll talk about the diet and give you hacks which will make dieting so simple that anybody can follow. And I'm saying simple, not easy, because you still have to exercise, discipline, and follow the diet and training with willpower. It will take a long time unless you're going to hop on gear. If you're gonna go down the natty path, the results won't happen overnight. You have to be patient, you have to be disciplined, and you have to follow the training and diet regimen day after day. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is your workout split. The question is, what is the best, the most ideal workout split? I personally don't follow a bro split anymore. And if you don't know what bro split is, you know, it's the split where you have a dedicated day for each body part, for your legs, chest, back, shoulders, and arms. Now, there are several reasons as to why I don't follow a bro split anymore, even though it was the OG split. When I started back then, 7 years ago, I still was a student. I started with the bro split and I got good results. But as you saw in the videos, I was still 2 years into my lifting journey and I didn't even look like I lifted. I was just watching a workout vlog by 2, I think, Korean bodybuilders the other day, who are in fact going to compete in Mr. Olympia in like 10 or 11 weeks. It was really interesting for me to see how they structured their workouts. They were training backs and they started with some pull downs, some really heavy pull downs, and they were doing 5 to 6 working sets. Honestly, I just got tired just watching them perform so many sets of the same exercise over and over again with heavy weights. And then they moved on to some rowing, some horizontal pulling. And then they moved on to another form of rowing. And then they started posing in the middle of their workout. And then they moved on to some narrow grip variation of pull down. So it's just repetitive exercises, but because they're so big and they're taking all these drugs that they give them super physiological levels in terms of recovery and strength, it makes sense for them. But for most of us who are not on gear, it doesn't make sense. And I'll explain it to you with science. But before that, I think you shouldn't blindly follow the workout split or follow the programs of your favorite fitness influencer, because what works for them will not necessarily work for you. Nobody knows what they're taking. They don't tell you what secret sauce they're taking behind the scenes, or maybe they have 1 in a million genetics. 1 in a million genetics, by definition, most of the viewers of this video don't have 1 in a million genetics, including me. We have normal genetics, and we have to work hard and smart to be able to make the best bang for our buck based on our individual genetics, based on how our body responds to the training and the diet. So what I'm saying is that don't blindly follow. Don't even blindly follow what I'm saying. And I don't give you exercise programs. I'll give you principles so that you can think about them, you can have them in your mind, and then you can go on and experiment, explore, and see what works for you best. So what does the science tell us? After you work out, the muscle protein synthesis, MPS, which is the process through which your body adds and builds new muscle tissue, muscle protein from amino acids. MPS is elevated for 36 to 48 hours after a workout in the body part that you train. However, for enhanced athletes, MPS is elevated all the time, even when they're not training. 24/7, all days throughout the week, they are building muscles because of the drugs that they're taking. But for us, that's not true. So what does that tell us? Our muscles are ready to be trained after 2 or 3 days. if you are to maximize your gains, if you are to get the best bang for your buck. That means that you have to be smart about your volume. That's why I don't want you to do a bro split, because when you perform so many exercises, let's say 4 or 5 exercises, and perhaps you do 2 or 3 working sets for each exercise, it's impossible for your body to recover in 2 to 3 days. You will have to take a whole week off from training that muscle before you're able to train it again, and that is not ideal. So our goal as natural lifters should be to train every body part 2 or 3 times per week. Another reason as to why I don't like bro split is the junk volume. Basically, in each training session, the first and second exercises that you're performing are the most productive ones. But as you go deeper and deeper into the workout session, you'll start to get tired, more fatigue, there's more strain on your central nervous system. And when you get to the end of your workout, let's say you've been training legs, you did RDLs, leg extensions, leg curls, leg presses, and then you put squats at the end when you're like super tired, it doesn't make sense because you're not able to recruit as much muscle anymore. Your form is sloppy, it's hard for you to be in the zone, to focus, and as a result, you'll probably get injured, and it's just junk volume. It doesn't benefit you at all. Now, with all that said, personally, I am not able to train every single muscle group twice a week in a span of 7 days unless I make a compromise so that I do push, pull, legs, rest, push, pull, legs, rest. That gives me a total of 8 days. That's one compromise. But my current split is a little bit different because this video is about looking like fake natties without actually being a fake natty. There are certain muscle groups that you should prioritize. Greg Doucette actually mentioned this in a video, and it was so true. So the muscles that you need to focus on more are your shoulders, specifically the side delts and the rear delts, the upper part of your chest, your arms, perhaps some traps. Maybe you want to have a bigger back, a wider back, so you have to focus on your back as well, and your midsection. So you want to be lean. That is key. Being lean gives the illusion of you being bigger than you actually are. And all of the fake natties are very lean. So the training split that I'm following is pretty much revolving around this idea. Since now I am more active on social media, and in order for people to actually listen to you on social media, you have to look good. I do want to have an impressive upper body. Doesn't mean that I'm going to skip legs. I used to train legs twice a week, but now I'm reducing that to once a week because it is so taxing on my body, and I need rest days. The next 2-3 days after a leg day is just very miserable, especially if I go all out. So my current split is push, pull, legs, rest, chest and back, arms and shoulders, rest. If you don't know what you train on a push or a pull day, you can obviously search on the internet. I have videos on my channel. I have a back day, I have a push day with commentary, and I'll explain everything in that video, and I'll link it somewhere down below so that you can easily watch it. Please go ahead and watch that video if you want to see how you should typically program a push day. But then once you've figured out your split and the exercises that you want to train, you have to keep that in mind that you only need 1 or maximum 2 working set for each exercise. And by working set, I mean the sets where you go to failure. You try to reach failure. You get as close as possible to failure, and failure is when you cannot really get another rep in. You cannot lift the weight up, and unless somebody is spotting you and helping you to get the weight up, you're just sitting there in vain trying to push the weight up. So you only need 1 or 2 of those working sets. So 1 or 2 working sets I think is pretty reasonable because you won't be excessively sore, let's say for the next 4-5 days. See, I used to be the guy who was always chasing soreness. So earlier in my lifting journey, I thought that soreness means muscle growth. And if I wasn't sore, the day after my training, I was so mad at myself. And that's why I loved exercises such as RDLs and Bulgarian split squats, because they made me sore unlike any other exercise. For example, after 3 working sets of RDLs, where I tried to get as close as possible to failure, I was using the straps so that my grip was not a limiting factor. My hamstrings were so sore, like insane, for the next 7 days. Walking was difficult, going to the bathroom was difficult. My life was miserable, and I was so proud of that. But I mentioned in this video that MPS is only elevated for 36 to 48 hours. So if I'm sore for 7 days, I miss the opportunity to train my hamstrings a second time later in the week. What's worse is that I tried to replicate the same amount of soreness in other body parts, in chest, in shoulders, and my shoulders never get sore. My arms, my biceps and triceps rarely get sore, but I put so much volume in my workouts and I still didn't get sore. But what I got as a result was injuries everywhere, in my elbows, shoulders, low back, knees, ankles, you name it. So it's not worth it. Different muscles are built different. For me, my hamstrings are really sensitive, especially to stretching exercises such as RDLs. RDLs do so much damage to the muscles that I need a long time to recover. So that's why I only do 1 work set for RDLs, 1 work set for Bulgarian split squats. But for other exercises such as bicep curls, I can do 3, 4 working sets without being sore the next day. However, you still have to exercise caution, because if you do too much volume, it's gonna affect your performance the next day. And remember, with my current split, I'm training 3 days in a row, so it is important to not get greedy. I know it feels good to have the pump when you're training your arms or your shoulders. You want to do more, but it is going to affect your performance in the following days. That's why you don't need to care about muscle soreness, especially if you've been training for a couple of years, or if you've been following the same program, let's say for several weeks now. Your body will adapt to the exercises that you're performing, and you won't experience the same soreness as the day 1. What is the number 1 indicator that you are actually building muscle? The answer is progressive overload. You should try to progressively overload your muscles week after week. And progressive overload is each time you go to the gym, you should try to lift heavier or do more reps. And the ideal rep range, in my opinion, is somewhere between 8 to 15. 12, 10 is probably the sweet spot. So if you manage to get 8 reps in your leg press one day, then if you're training your legs a couple days after, you should aim for 9 reps or 10 reps. And once you reach 13 or 14 reps, then it's time for you to increase the weight. So in conclusion, you don't need to shock your muscles if you want to grow a specific muscle group. I remember I was watching this video from Arnold in which he was explaining that you need to shock the muscle.
Sometimes the body will hit a wall. And what that basically means is that the body is saying, look, I know all your tricks. I know exactly everything you do, and I am prepared for that. So you have to go and use the shocking principle. And I'm gonna do 20 reps with 315. And then I'm gonna go and have the guys pull off plates. And then I have 225 left. And then I'm gonna do another 10 reps. And then I'm gonna have them take off another 45-pound plate, and then I have 135 left. And then I'm gonna go to do another 10 reps.
By performing intensity techniques, there are a lot of intensity techniques that you can find on the internet. Drop sets, cluster sets, rest pauses, and the list goes on. And those are nice to integrate into your workouts at times, but you have to be smart about them. You don't need to do drop sets for every single exercise. Remember, it's going to affect your recovery. But what works better is focusing on training frequency. If you really want to grow your arms, say your biceps, it's better to train your biceps every other day, because then you will have the MPS, muscle protein synthesis, elevated at all times throughout the week. But My friends, this is not the end of the story. When you perform so much volume that you're sore for 4-5 days, there is this phenomenon called muscle protein breakdown, which is the opposite of muscle protein synthesis, in which your body converts muscle protein into amino acids. And usually temporarily after a workout, muscle protein breakdown is elevated. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that muscle protein synthesis exceeds muscle protein breakdown. And that's why, again, I'm repeating this over and over. You should care about your training volume. Do not overtrain. Overtraining will also cause inflammation and higher cortisol levels so that your body won't be able to cope with all the training that you're doing. And in the end of the day, all the protein, all the nutrients and rest and recovery that you're giving to your body will be spent on recovering from the workout, not on actually adding new muscle tissue. So to summarize everything about the training and the best workout split, you want to train ideally every single body part twice a week. Let's say for the chest, you have a push day on Monday where you prioritize smaller muscle groups first, like you train your side delts and your triceps first, 3 exercises, and for each exercise you do 1 or 2, perhaps 3. But remember, the more sets you do in the beginning of your workout, the more tired you will be towards the end when you actually reach your compound exercises for the chest. And for the chest, in my opinion, you need a fly variation and a pressing variation, ideally an incline press. For your back, in my opinion, you only ever need a horizontal pull, like a pull down or pull-ups, and a vertical pull, like chest supported rows. And maybe you want to top that up with some shrugs for your traps. That's all you need for your back. And you want to write down the number of reps and the weight that you managed to get in the current session. And then you want to try to surpass that in the following session. I'm planning to share all the different 5 days in my current split in future videos. So make sure you subscribe to my channel to not miss those videos, because I will be also providing commentary, explaining the techniques, explaining the number of sets and everything, and why I choose the exercises that I'm choosing. And that way, maybe you take something away from those workouts. You have to see what works for you. Maybe an exercise that I like doesn't feel so good for you, so you might need to make adjustments. That's it, guys. This brings me to the end of the video. Make sure you have proper training frequency, you're eating enough protein. I'll make a video and I'll explain to you diet hacks. Make sure you get enough rest and recovery. Make sure you don't do so much volume that you start to have aches and pains across your body. Make sure you get enough sleep. Sleep is the #1 thing when it comes to boosting your own testosterone naturally. I cannot explain how important it is. And that's something that I'm personally trying to improve every day. You know, there's social media, and I've been very lazy lately, just doom scrolling on Instagram or TikTok before bed, and I know this negatively affects my sleep, but I'm trying to get better, especially now that I'm making videos about it. It puts more pressure and a sort of responsibility for me to do and behave according to what I preach. Thank you guys, and see you in the next video.